Hey guys, so today we're going to be telling a scary story named Tiki Tiki. I know y'all might have heard those edits, but this is the real story behind Tiki Tiki. I heard this story from a YouTuber, and he said, believe what you believe, but this is a myth in China. One day, there was two men taking cargo to China on trail tracks. So they were taking cargo to China, and they are in the middle of nowhere, in the snow. It's dark and cold. So there's a man and there's an assistant. The man was really cold, so he asked the assistant to go. This is back in 1990s, and he asked his assistant to go get something for heat. So there's this one thing for heat, and they used it back in the day, but it could get really hot, so he had to keep the assistant had to keep watch of the heat. So when they were paying attention to the heat in the cargo train, and they weren't really paying attention to the road, because why would they? They're in the middle of nowhere, and there's nothing that would really pop up on the trail tracks. So when they were driving for a bit, and the man finally looked up, and he saw a woman standing right on the train tracks. She was standing and just staring at them, just standing up, not moving, in the middle of the train tracks. So when they saw the woman, they tried to get their train to complete stop, so they pulled it back. But as you know, trains take a long time to break. So when they pulled it back, they knew they weren't going to make it, that they were going to hit the woman, and they were confused why she wasn't moving. So they knew they hit the woman, but they stopped the train just to go see if she's okay, but she's most likely not okay. She's probably dead. So they went out of the train, and the man and the assistant went walking behind the cargo train. Okay, so when they were behind the cargo train, they were following the train tracks. So they were walking for a while, and they finally see this, lump on the train tracks. So as they saw the lump on the trail tracks, they came closer. And when they were there, they saw that there was just two legs of the woman. They knew she was dead because it's just her legs. And there was blood all around it, but they could tell that she had ballerina shoes on, and it was tied to the train tracks. They assumed that the woman was stuck in the train tracks with her ballerina shoes, her ballerina. If you guys know what ballerina shoes are, they're like shoes that have a lot of laces, so it's really hard to take off and stuff. So that's probably why she wasn't moving. The other half of her body was missing, so the man was like, okay, well, let's go try to find the other part of her body. So the two men started walking further in the train tracks, and they see another lump. They saw that the second part of the woman was just half of her body. So imagine at your waist and up, it's just half of a woman. But they weren't really scared of the blood and everything, but what they were scared of was her stance, her position. And so the position was her laying down, straight down, with her arms out, and the face of furious. The man thinks that she was furious because they couldn't stop the train in time. So the men decided to go back to the train, and they were going to go. The man told the assistant to go out and try to find help. So the man would stay back, and the assistant will go try to find some help, like any police officers or anybody that's nearby. So the man would stay back on the train, and the assistant will go out looking. As the man was staying back in the train, he decided he just wanted to sleep because he was tired. So the man laid down, and his feet were towards the entrance of the front of the train. So as he closed his eyes, all he could think about was the woman's face. It took him a while to fall asleep, but eventually he fell asleep. And he only lasted 10 minutes into sleep time. And he woke up to this sound, coming from the end of the train. It was like, chick, chick. And it kept getting closer and closer and getting louder and louder. And at the point where it sounded like it was right outside the front of the cargo train's door. So, pause it there. Eventually, the assistant found a police officer close by. It was actually pretty close by. So it was the 2 police officers and the assistant driving towards the train. And they stopped to where it was walking distance towards the train. So it was the 2 police officers and the assistant walking to the train. So they stopped at a point and they called out for the man. But the man wasn't answering, so the assistant was a little bit weirded out, but he didn't really think about it. So they went to the front of the cargo train, and he wasn't there. The assistant was a little bit weirded out, but the man could have been by, let's say, the body. So the 2 police officers and the assistant walked to the back of the train and went to the body to see if he was maybe guarding the body from any predators or anything. So it turns out, as they got to the legs, he wasn't there, and he was missing. So they were looking around, and he wasn't there. So they're like, okay, maybe he's out the front, the other half of the lady. So the 2 police officers and the assistant went towards the other half on the trail tracks. And as they got to the point where it was, they could see there's a bunch of blood, but there's no other half of the woman. So the 2 police officers and the assistant are like, maybe they got attacked by someone else. They got attacked by a bear or a predator. So the assistant's like really freaked out now, but he's like, okay, well, let's look for any clues of where he could be. So the 2 police officers had a lantern, and they went around with their lantern, and they saw that there was boot marks in the snow. So like, oh, okay, well, that's where the man went. So they followed the footsteps. As they were, the 2 police officers and the assistant started following the footprints. So they followed the footprints until they got to this, like, hill, this mountain. And they stopped at the mountain. So they stopped at the hill point, and they're like, okay, well, where is he? Like, the footprints just stopped here. So they start hearing a sound, but it was the sound that the man heard from when he was hearing sounds when he was trying to sleep. So they figure out that it was coming from above them. So they look up, and they see the dead man. So he's hunched over the hill, and his stomach's ripped open. It could be a predator from a bear. Maybe a bear attacked him. But when they looked up, after a while, this woman came over the man and was like grabbing onto his shoulders and looking over. It was the half of the woman. It was just, imagine half of your body and the woman with like furious, like just walking on 2 hands.
Like in Gorilla Tag.
The two police officers and the assistant are startled. They start running. So fast forward to the end. The 2 police officers made it. They got in their car. They drove to the police office, and they told everyone the next morning that they would go to see what happened. And it would turn out the woman's legs were there with her ballerina shoes. The other half was gone. But unfortunately, the assistant didn't make it. They found both the man and the assistant, stomachs ripped open. They were both deceased, fortunately. Till this day, it's a myth where Tiki Tiki is still out there. The reason that it's called, her name is Tiki Tiki, is because whenever she would run at you, you would hear Tiki, Tiki, Tiki in the snow. So you would go Tiki Tiki Tiki. So in the end, people in China still hear stories about different stories about Tiki Tiki. I think it's fake, but other people think it's like
it's on the 3-day thing.
In 3 days, you will die from Tiki Tiki unless you do this. In 3 days, Tiki Tiki will come to your house and ask you one question, and you have to answer the right question. The question is, do you need your legs? And you have to say this exact words. Yes, I need them now. Alright, thank you guys for listening to my Tiki Tiki scary story time. I hope you guys like my video, and I can do more like this. Bye!